Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and Barbara asked, do you have a video on how to make hair scrunchies? Well, let's answer that question with a yes and do hair scrunchies today. I will be using 1 fat quarter and 40 inches of a 1/4 inch wide elastic, and that's going to give us 4 hair scrunchies. And there's going to be no measuring. We're going to make the fabric do all the work. A fat quarter is 1/4 of a yard. So we have the yard of fabric, we cut it in half horizontally and vertically. So we end up with a great big square, and it will range at about 18 inches by 22 inches. If you're in a country where the fabric is sold by meter, it's going to be 1/4 of the meter, so it will be slightly bigger. The first thing we need to do is take this fat quarter and press it and get all of the wrinkles out of it. Once all the wrinkles are out of the fabric, we're going to repress it. We do not need to square up this fabric because scrunchies are supposed to look messy. We're going to fold along the longest side. So I have the shorter 18-inch that's going to get folded once. And just match up the edges the best you can. And if you're off a little, that's fine. And press right along this edge. Once the one edge has been pressed, we're going to fold it in half, one more time, match up the edges as close as we can, and press the second edge. You're going to have approximately 3.5 to 4 inches by that 21 or 22 inches, depending on the size of your fat quarter. If you still have the selvage on your fabric, you can just cut it off. Now we're going to be able to open this up and cut it apart on these 4 lines. You can rotary cut it, but because it does not need to be exact, a pair of scissors will work just fine. We have enough for 4 scrunchies from those cuts. We now have this long piece. You can see it's really not squared up, and that's fine. There's going to be an elastic inside the scrunchie, and it can start anywhere between 8 inches to 10 inches, depending on how stretchy your elastic is and how thick your hair is. Start the first one with 8 inches. It's going to give you a good judge if you need to go bigger or smaller. And back stitch the elastic on one end and back stitch the elastic on the second end. So we're going to have all this fabric in between. Just go back and forth and stitch this elastic somewhere in the center of this fabric, but it doesn't have to be exact. Now we're going to ignore this elastic and put the fabric right sides together. So we're going to sew all the way along so that elastic is going to run behind. We want to start stitching at about 2 inches. And you don't have to measure it, and stitch all the way down, folding these edges so that they match. And if a little edge is off, just tuck it in. And then stop at about 2 inches on the other side. That long tube has been stitched together with an opening on each end, and the elastic is on the back side. We can take this and turn it right side out, and that elastic is going to go right into the center and stay on each side. Once it's turned right side out, each side is going to have the elastic stitched onto that edge with a little opening, and then that fabric is scrunched up together. Smooth the fabric and the elastic flat for just a couple inches and put a pin. Do that on one side and repeat on the other. So all that is scrunched up in the center, and those pins are holding the elastic flat. Place the right sides of those short edges together. You don't need to worry about matching up that elastic. And just do a seam all the way along that short edge. So both those elastics are together, and that short edge is stitched together. The pins were just to help hold the fabric flat so that we could stitch this edge. Now when we take out those pins, The scrunchie is almost done. We're going to be able to just seal up this edge with some machine stitching. Just fold over a seam allowance on both edges and stitch that opening close. Once that little opening has been stitched together, the scrunchie is now done. Once one is made, be sure to test it to see if the elastic is the right size for your hair. And that elastic size will also be determined on how thick your fabric is, because you can make these in any fabric. The sewing method is very unique in my scrunchies, so let's just do a quick recap. We don't need to bother about measuring, we just need to cut our long strips, and on the end we're going to put the elastic. That saves us from having to fish that elastic in at the end. The next step, we're going to ignore that elastic, start at about 2 inches, stitch all the way in until we hit the 2-inch mark. We then can turn this right side out. Scrunch all of the fabric up into the center so that we can sew those 2 ends together, and that will be these ends. Once those 2 ends are stitched together, we can just close up that opening. This gives us no hand sewing, and we didn't have to fish that elastic inside. This is definitely a unique way on making a scrunchie. I do encourage you to try it with a piece of scrap fabric. Follow along step by step. When you've made one, you'll see how quick and easy they really are to make. The elastic is put in first, not last. So we're sort of sewing the scrunchies backwards. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.